You rolling? Hi, I'm Timothy Mitchell, the Practical Printer, and welcome to my print lab.
Oh, okay, we're going to have a little discussion. I figure we may close on this. I am actually, surprisingly, a supporter of subscription-based RIPs. Okay, and
Yep.
a lot of people be like, "What? What do you mean?" And I'm like, "No, really, I like the idea because when you buy it and own it, which
hmm
I have, what happens is everything is fine for the period I own it in that printer. But as time goes by and I upgrade my printer and other things, and it's not having nothing to do in many cases with SAI Flexi, it would be like the manufacturer, like Roland or HP says, hey, we have a new printer, but we need a new driver. We have new features. We need an upgrade. We're going to need an upgrade with Flexi to make this work.
hmm
And then your upgrade happens. And then you have to tell the customer, listen, the version you have isn't compatible with this new printer. We need you to upgrade. And then you hear them complain, this is unfair. But, that happens in every other market, everywhere else. It's like, look, your version of Windows doesn't work with, or your version of Word isn't going to work with Windows 11, and then you have to upgrade to get it. I think what I like about the subscription is it's a set rate for a set service, and then you have access to the very good support team in Salt Lake who can answer and help you and give you, legitimate support because that's built into the subscription model.
Yeah.
And then you guys can calculate how many people are subscribing, how much do we bring in, and how many support people do we need? Because that way you can kind of calculate and forecast properly. It's very difficult when you're purchasing and you have an erratic purchase of upgrades happening all the time. How do we keep our support team? And then people don't want to pay for support. Like
No.
if you say, hey, we sold you this version and then you want support indefinitely, I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way. You have to buy support then. And then, you have this expectation that's unreasonable. And I think it creates a lot of missed understanding between the customer and the software manufacturer. So to me, subscription solves the problem with current updates on everything, including all your firmware and everything, and it
hmm
also solves your support issue. Sorry to go on a bit, but I'm kind of doing your pitch for you. But did I mostly get it right?
Yeah, you did. You hit, we last year, I guess it was March a year ago, we moved our standard product line, the Flexi Complete line, Flexi Design, Flexi DTF is all moved to a subscription product.
Okay.
And what that allows us to do, again, is always have new updates. We are actually now, we're updating our software. We're releasing a new build probably every 4 to 6 weeks. So we're putting new bug fixes, new patches, new
Correct.
drivers, new things into the software about every 4 to 6 weeks. And before we would have to wait, we would have to maybe go 6 to 8 months to build up all of the features so that it was worth when somebody had to do the upgrade,
Yeah, yeah.
it was worth them paying for that upgrade. So we would have to hold, so you might have to go 6 to 8 months without a new driver in the software that had been released, 3 or 4 months ago. This
Sure.
allows us to be a lot more reactive, a lot more competitive. And so when you have our subscription product, you're always going to have the latest version, always have the latest build, always have the new printers. For example, 3M Traffic just came out with their 730 and 830 printer. We were able to this week release the new version with those printers in it instead of having to wait 3 or 4 months before we do that. So it just gives us a
Yeah.
lot more ability to do that. And unfortunately, it costs a lot of money for programmers to develop all this stuff. It doesn't just happen. Everybody thinks, oh, well, I just need the new driver. Well, do you know how much time and effort it takes to create a new driver? It's not cheap, unfortunately. I wish it were, but it's not.
Oh, well, look, I think your argument about the ongoing updates is very
hmm
valid. And I do know that, having been on a own it platform, that there would be things like, hey, you guys know you have these bugs. How come they're not being fixed? And not
hmm
just you, the other companies too would say, we have to wait. What we do is we accumulate them and then we do a major update, and the updates
hmm
happen over like 3 6 month periods. We don't just update
Right.
continuously because it causes confusion and chaos, right? So we don't update all the time because that drives people crazy. As a result, we have to let them accumulate. And then in some cases, we just build it into the next version. And then you have to upgrade to get the next version. So that's, hey, we need another $1,000 for the next version. And I'm like, why don't I just, I
Mhm.
think, was it you that said we did a calculation over a period of time of own it version versus subscription version and said it's a wash anyway?
For over about 8 to 10 years, it pretty much came out to be a wash, or actually, it was even less expensive to own the subscription if you had bought it and just did one upgrade. And you would have had to have done at least maybe two or three over 8 years. But if you just did one upgrade and bought the software, it was going to be $300 less expensive over 8 years to do subscribe versus buy it. Plus, that gave you the ability to cancel it at any time you wanted, and you didn't have to outlay $5,000 or $6,000 up front and then wait. So you're just kind of paying for it as you use it.
Ah, exactly. Look, I think the subscription model makes sense. I know a lot of people don't like it. I think they need to reconsider. There are meaningful
Yeah,
advantages to a subscription model. And if you look honestly across the entire software industry, everything is subscription.
yeah.
There's very little, except some phone apps,
Well,
where you
and
buy it once for,
and if you think about it, your phone's a subscription. Your TV, your
yes, it is.
Netflix is a subscription. Your Amazon Prime is a subscription. Everything is that you do nowadays is a subscription, and you pay for it as you go.
Okay. Well, congratulations on making the move. I know, I know it could be contentious in some places, but I do actually support it. It
Yeah.
makes sense, especially if you're always, you're buying new equipment here and there and you add new things. And every time they have new generations of printers, it introduces a new wrinkle and you start over and you have an upgrade right there. So you may as well just get the subscription. And I think it does provide for what I believe you guys have very good service. I mean,
Yeah.
anytime I've had to need it, the people that I've reached are knowledgeable, they're capable, I get responses early. And, I also think a lot of one of the things I've always liked about Flexi is you have very good online industry board support from people who are Flexi users who are very
Mhm.
engaged. And then you also have very good video and tutorial walkthrough from all of your professionals that you guys have made to show people how to do everything. So those are always been very big strengths, I think, with SAI. And that's why you have a very loyal customer base among small businesses in particular.
And we're probably the largest customer base of any of the RIPS, design programs out there. I mean, we just we're probably in 70 to 80, 90% of the sign shops in the market today.
Yeah. And there's a reason. And I think your DTF will be very successful because when they want to add a DTF product, all they have to
Mhm.
do is either have the full, your full version, or if they want to
Yeah.
just add this as a sideline, you can just add this in and be able to print to it. I also know you build probably some very nice profiles and everything that are all built into it as well.
Huh.
Excellent.
That would be it.
Bobby, it's been a pleasure.